Well, it seems like tonight's episode not having any glitches or problems or challenges, at least on camera. Unlike in the studio a little bit ago, where stuff was going cattywampus behind the scenes, everything seems to be going well in front of the camera. So, hi everybody, good to see you. Thank you all very much for being here. Thank you for joining me, and welcome to another edition of Step Chat. For those of you that I have not had the pleasure of meeting, my name is Steve Jones. I am the executive director of Float and of Aloft and of Fulcrum and a couple other projects here and there. And I look forward to chatting with you tonight as we explore the Floativerse together. Lorena Lozada, good to see you. Thank you very much. Good to see you, and hello to Milton as well. I'm sure he's there with you, hanging out on probably watching on another platform or whatever, sharing yours. So that's good. Whatever works for you guys. So good to see you all. Hope you all had a good week. We absolutely did. It was very stressful. It was very stressful until through Wednesday, and then things calmed down considerably. Thank God. Wednesday night was that install that we had. I think I mentioned it before. We had 30 minutes to install a 13-foot tall by 11-foot wide organic wall, and then we had to make it look blobular, which means she didn't want it to be a rectangle. She wanted it to be blobular. And we had all of 30 minutes to accomplish this. Originally, the job was about everything had to be done in 30 minutes. Originally, every single thing had to be done in 30 minutes, like load in, install, everything. And by the way, did I mention that while this was taking place, directly in front of us, there was a team setting up a photo booth that was supposed to go right against the wall. Hello, Murphy. Good to see you. So needless to say, I did not, this was, which of course had a dramatic impact on how we were able to install the wall to begin with. If you want me to go off on this, if you want me to continue on this, I'll follow up with it at the end when we're not relevant. But yeah, so needless to say, mission accomplished. I was very happy. But it had a lot of challenges that we weren't expecting. But then everything just went blah, 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 and we were done. So I was very happy. Amanda Bruce, good to see you. Thank you very much for being here. Angela, as always, a pleasure to see you. Dina, good to see you. Greg Aragoni, let's put that bad boy up here. I'm going to start trying to do this a little more often when people have good things to say or whatever, this kind of a thing. So there's that. Mr. Aragoni, one of our fabulous crew members coming to Float. See you in 6 months. We'll expand on that here in just a little bit. So there's that. Sandy Presley, another one of our fabulous crew members. Thank you for being here. Melissa Fox, one of our incredible teachers coming to Float. Good to see you as well. Dina, if I didn't, I don't think I missed you, but if I did, hi, good to see you. So yeah, and then once we got through that hell, we actually took the afternoon off on Friday and went to go see Fantastic Four. I was thrilled. I was like, hey, everything's ready for tomorrow, right? Yep. Hey, let's go see Fantastic Four. And so it was like, okay. So we did. That was great. It was great. It was nice to, speaking of Marvel, but there you go. It was nice to take some time off in the middle of the day and go. Lorena, is it good? I enjoyed it. I don't want to give too many spoilers. I enjoyed it. Let's put it that way. Is it a good movie? I think so. It's there are aspects of it that are really good. There's aspects of it that I personally just did not enjoy. Overall, I mean, so in other words, did I walk out of there like, oh my God, that was such a great? No, I didn't walk out of there like that. Did I walk out of there feeling like I just wasted 20 something bucks on a ticket? No, not at all. So There was that. The one thing that I will say that I really did enjoy about the movie is that it is a self-contained story. For the first time in a very long time, Marvel has put out a movie that you don't have to do homework for. Right. Now, don't get me wrong, I kind of enjoy the homework aspect. But because I love connecting all the stories together, and it's just me personally. But this particular film, I did enjoy the fact that it was self-contained. I mean, obviously they don't spend a lot of time. They don't waste a tremendous amount of your time going back and showing you the origin story because most people already know it. There's been 4 movies already. And most people know the comics or whatever anyway. So there you go. But I enjoyed it. Like I said, I wouldn't pay to go back again. I'll wait for it to come out on Disney Plus. But I did enjoy it. Yeah. I don't want to give away any spoilers. So I don't want to taint people's opinions of what I didn't care for. But I will admit, I'm thinking about actually starting a YouTube channel reviewing movies. Because I'm like, because the ones that I go to, like the ones that I watch, like when I watched Fantastic Four, then I went to YouTube and I'm like, I gotta find these guys that know everything about the comics, right? It's like, okay, so what's the bad? What's this? What did I not pick up here? What did I miss here? What Easter egg was there? But then I realized that there's a lot of people just like me out there who never read the comics and are just trying to enjoy the movies for what they are. And so I almost feel like I should start reviewing those films in that capacity as just an average Joe. So there you go. Dan, I'm glad it wasn't up. Hold on, wait. There we go. I'm glad it wasn't Doom Focus. Galactus would be cool in a large sculpture. Yes, just not at float. Because remember, Galactus is a copyrighted character, which means you can't do him at float. At least not in the formal competitions. Jam Room, go nuts. But yeah, you can't do it. Wouldn't be able to do it as an entry. But I agree. Galactus would be a very good thing. For those of you that are unfamiliar, Galactus is the primary villain of this film. And he is the devourer of worlds. Basically, he travels through the universe, basically digesting planets. And so when he comes looking for you, you're pretty much toast. So there we go. Wow, straight to it. Catherine, like, get off this boring stuff. Does Reno only have one airport? Yes, Reno only has one airport. Uno aeropuerto. It is the call letters RNO. Okay, RNO. Oh my God, why am I blanking? Like Reno, except with no E. But I'm blanking on the NATO phonetic. Oh my God. R, November, Oscar, but I don't remember what R is. I'm blanking out on R. But yeah, Reno without the E. That's the call letters. So there you go. So there you go. Yes, it's only got. Okay, I got my flight, my nanny, my hotel. I'm not missing out this time. All right, very good. Glad to hear it. We're thankful to have you come and joining us. So there we go. Okay, so with that being said, we do have a lot of actual business stuff to get to tonight. So instead of me rambling on about my personal life, how about we get to the show, shall we? Murphy, don't do it. Don't do it. No sitting over here and crying and whining. You know the deal. It's Sunday night. We're not going anywhere. For the last hour and a half, he's been like, come on, let's go. No, we're not going. We got business to attend to. All right, hold on one second. Bear with me while I go to sharing my screen. We're just going to do the entire... we're going to try the window again. I think it's working better tonight, so let's see if it's actually working properly. If not, we'll have to do this. Romeo, thank you, Amanda Bruce. Thank you. Yes, that's right. I knew it was something so flagrant, but there we go. All right, fantastic. Everything seemed to be working just fine tonight, so we're good to go. So, folks, thank you once again for joining me here on another episode of Step Chat, episode 274, as a matter of fact, which means next week is another milestone episode. We'll be at episode 275. So, thank you very much for joining me along this journey. Folks, Friday was a thing. Friday, July 25th, it almost stumbled. I almost didn't realize it. I was actually working on one of the announcements for the payment plan, and did the math and went, oh my God, it's 6 months until like people actually like activities start. And so then I thought I'll just wait till Friday. And so as of Friday, July 25th, we are now less than 6 months away from Float 2026. In fact, right now, exactly 6 months from right now, at this exact moment, we'll be getting ready for the bowling tournament, the sponsor bowling tournament, which will be taking place. So very, very excited about that. This really instilled a moment of panic in me the other day. At first, it was like, oh yeah, we're 6 months, and then I thought, oh my God, we're 6 months. That's not enough. I got way too much to do. So it's time to get back focused, and it's time to get really moving, because 6 months will be here before we know it. I do also want to remind everybody that our good friend Mia Asano is joining us once again at Float. Very excited to have her with us. Very, very, very excited to have her with us. Now, before we get into the nitty gritty of the big stuff that took place last week, we do have something that is very, very pressing, and that is that the July 31st deadline is almost here. For those of you that have not yet registered for Float and you want to take part in the payment plan program, you have until Thursday to get signed up. Thursday, July 31st is the last day to register for this plan. So please make sure that you get signed up by then. You will go to floatconvention.com/pricing. That is where you can get the whole breakdown on it. And also, it is very important. It is very important that you take the time to read the terms of service in reference to this plan. We'll go into that a little bit later on, but please keep in mind that it's all very important that you know this going in. I will say that I'm surprised how few people have taken advantage of it this time. However, because I was comparing it to past conventions, but I would also say that there's been some key differences. First of all, in the past, when we did do the payment plan program, we always we cut them off like 3 months before the convention. So this is a much earlier situation. I haven't done as much promotion on it as we probably should have. Another aspect of this is the fact too that maybe it means that people are finally reading. Because a lot of people, well, I know a lot of people are being turned off by the $300 initial payment, and that's fine. That's why we did it. If you can't come up with the $300 initial payment, what are the likelihood that you're going to be able to complete the entire series of payments and or get a hotel and or get a flight? So I'm not saying that to be derogatory. I'm just saying it to be real. And that's part of the problem we ran in the past, is we would have people who, we talked about it before. Only 20% of the people in the past would actually complete the payment plan. And then half of those people would cancel because, well, now I don't have any money for a hotel, or now I don't have money for a flight. And it doesn't make sense. So I'm actually kind of glad in this point that the numbers are lower than normal, because maybe it means that those individuals are quite serious about participating. So that makes me very, very happy in that regard. But yes, the payment plan program ends officially this Thursday on July 31st, which means you have less than 5 days to go. Dina, thank you so much for posting that link in the Facebook chat. Well, the big news of last week was that the sponsorships for Float 2026 finally opened. Now, Of course, this isn't entirely true because, of course, the educational sponsorships opened a long time ago, and the vendor showcase opened even before that. So but these are, of course, the sponsorships of things like the events, like event decor. This is like the convention decor. This is the different, the lanyards, the T-shirts, that kind of thing. Um, it's also all kinds of opportunities, which again, the response we've been getting from people is fabulous. That there's so many options available, and so yeah, we're very happy that everybody seems to be very pleased about that. Tonight, what we're going to do is share with you a lot of the sponsorships that have been picked up, so that we can all kind of keep score at home and see what's going on. When it comes to our live events, there was one event that took center stage that everybody jumped on as soon as possible, and that is the Float Designer Awards Gala, our tribute to our friend Tommy DeLorenzo, who passed away last year. We want to give a big round of applause to our friends at Metallic, Gemar, Calasan, and Highshine, all for jumping on board and participating in the decor for the Designer Awards Gala. Our friends at Metallic took the stage sponsorship, so they'll be decorating the stage for the night. I want to give a big shout out to I can't stop right now. Somebody's having problems apparently getting to the page, and I can't do anything about that now. I want to thank our friends at Gemar. Gemar took over the sponsorship of the entrance decor for the gala, so that's always great. Our friends at Calasan picked up the room accent decor. That's the side walls, the rear wall, and anything if they want to do it on the ceiling. And then, of course, our friends at High Shine scooped up the Shine sponsorship for the event. As of right now, the only balloon decor element still available for the Designer Awards Gala is the table centerpieces. So we are still looking for a sponsor for those. And of course, we're also looking for a sponsor for the inflation equipment and all the other aspects of the event as well. But a huge, overwhelming response to the Designer Awards Gala. So again, let's give it up to Metallic, Gemar, Calasan, and High Shine for jumping on board and being so generous with their sponsorships there. Linda, hi. It took me forever to find the page. I think there's a glitch with Facebook. Well, keep in mind, there is a direct link to the page in my post in the group, if that helps for whatever reason. But that would explain why somebody else is saying they can't get in here either. But thank you, Linda. Thank you for sharing that. Okay, let's see here. As for the events, I will say these are the only sponsorships that have been scooped up right now for the evening social functions. So in other words, all kinds of stuff is still available for the Friday Night Fun, the Club Latex, opening night, and the Monday night soiree. But the link was showing an error. That's weird. Okay, well, that is strange. Murphy, would you please stop? Okay, so here we go. All right. So with that being said, you know what I'm wondering? I will take a moment here. I'm wondering if that's because when I typed it in, it's weird. Lately, when you type in www something, an address, a lot of times it doesn't work anymore. And that may have been the problem. If I typed in www, that could be the issue. So there's that. So thank you. I'm glad that people started sending stuff over. And I am frozen. Oh yeah, I sure am, aren't I? Interesting. Okay. Well, nothing I can do about that. That's got to be, once again, that's got to be our system here with good old StreamYard. So I will just continue on. The great thing is now it doesn't matter what I do. There we go. So it's practically a podcast episode. Okay. So all of the other evening sponsorships still wide open. We're going to talk about the Monday soiree here in a few minutes. Pertaining to that. However, there was also a lot of interest in one of our other functions that took place at the event, and that was the Float Jam Room. We are thrilled to share with you that 6 different companies are sponsoring the Jam Room at this time with sponsor tables. We want to give it up to our friends at Anagram, Metallic, Elatex, Gemar, Tuftex, and All American Balloons for scooping up tables in the Float Jam Room. This means there are still 4 sponsorship tables available. So this means we only have 4 tables left. So if you offer non-round balloons and you want an opportunity to get them in people's faces during the jam room, this would be it. That's fun. And this would be it. So we're going to talk a little bit more about the jam room here in a little bit because there's other sponsorships that have been picked up as well. But I do want to take this opportunity to give a big shout out to Anagram, Metallic, Elitex, Gemar, Tuftex, and again, All American Balloons for sponsoring tables in the jam room. Again, folks, 4 tables left. Dina, I shared the link to this page in the comments of that original post. Thank you very much, Dina. Appreciate that. Thank you. I do want to give a big shout out to our friends at Balloonia who also swept in and scooped up one of our master classes coming to float. The ridiculously talented Adrian Winfrey from Captivating Balloons is now going to be sponsored by our friends at Balloonia. We'll be talking a little bit more about Balloonia here shortly, but we want to give a big round of applause to them for picking up the latex side of sponsorship for Adrian's class. Adrian has made it very clear that in her class, because she's going to be doing a master class on bringing foils and latex together. And if you know anything about Adrian's work, what she does with foil and latex balloons combined is absolutely breathtaking. But she's made it very, very clear that she is going to be using multiple brands of foils in her class. So with that being said, she's like, I don't really have a preference to latex, but foils that we're going to be using different brands. And I said, okay. And Balloonia said, we like it. So they jumped on board and grabbed the sponsorship. We still have sponsorships available of the other masterclass instructors. So Jason Sakota, Stacy Chase, and Josh Dirks are all still available for sponsorship as well. There you go. Sherry, did anyone pick up the headshots? We'll get to that momentarily. Now, let's talk about the competitions. There was a little bit of activity on those as well. I'm very glad to say. So let's start off with sculpture design. We are thrilled to share with you that our friends at Gemar and Highshine both came on board with the sculpture design competition. Gemar, of course, will be providing all of the latex balloons for this particular sculpture competition. Our friends at Highshine will be sponsoring the Shine product. So thank you very much. It did occur to me, however, that with Gemar picking up the latex balloon sponsorship for this, though, and because they don't offer foils directly, I just don't believe they do. Am I wrong? I know that Funny Balloons sells foils, but I don't think Gemar has their own line of foils yet. We may need to reach out to see if someone else wants to pick that side of things up. So there's that. Why in the living hell? Dear God, I am like people that should know better tonight don't seem to know better. Okay. Anyway, so there we go. So our good friends at Gemar and Highshine, thank you very much. Part of the Designer Year Championship Series coming to float. So we already talked about this one, but our entrance decor competition, of course, is being sponsored by our friends at Anagram. This was part of their island package. Dan Staples. Let's go back. Dan Staples. Do you only have to use Gemar balloons? Yes. If a manufacturer is sponsoring the competition, you have to use only Gemar balloons. The good news is they will provide them for you. That's the deal. The deal because before the way it used to work with sponsorships is the sponsors could be like, well, we didn't really have these sponsorships yet. And it was, the whole idea was like, you would get, say, like a company would be like, well, we'll give you $100 worth of balloons, but if we do and you accept them, then you can only use our product in the build. And that's for a really in-depth sculpture or really, in-depth other concept. $100 worth of balloons is not necessarily enough. And so we kind of worked this out to where we got the sponsorship going. The deal is that they couldn't cap a realistic request of balloons. But the other side of the coin is that you are stuck only using that brand. I'm not saying you're stuck using, I'm not saying that, I'm just saying in general. So if you have a preference or if you have a sponsorship alignment right? Like if you teach for a manufacturer and you want to enter this competition and that manufacturer is not sponsoring your competition, you might want to have a conversation with your preferred company and just say, hey, look, I'm going for designer of the year. I got to do this. Don't hold it against me. That is what I would strongly recommend, having that conversation, because I think it's a very important one to have. You don't want to hit them by surprise, so to speak. And I think in most cases, I think most of the sponsors, to be completely honest with you, would understand it. Um, they wouldn't like it, but they would understand it, especially if that's the rules. Like you have to. And I would argue that unless you're making an awful lot of money from these people to teach for them or represent them, then you should side with whatever's best for your business. Okay. So there's that. Okay. Once again, Interest Decor presented by our friends at Anagram. So there we go. That'll be taking place on Saturday morning. So there we go. Very excited. And now that it's in the sub room, we can even block it off from people so people can't be walking through the halls this time, which we also like. The column design competition, the brand new column design competition. This is taking place on Saturday, the 2:30 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. Sorry, my brain is rotting right now. Presented in part by our friends at Gemar. Again, another part of the competition series. This is a brand new competition for us. This particular design was actually submitted by Adrienne Winfrey as her award-winning column design from the Floaties in 2022. We've never had this competition before, so we didn't actually have a winning piece to show. So there you go. So very excited about that, but looking forward to it. Again, we're really looking forward to see what people come up with as far as the design goes. It's very funny because when I was looking for pictures for this, I found a really cool column. For those of you that remember at Float, all the way back to Float 2009, David Weiss did that rock and roll, that punk rock, the punk rock arch. And I thought, oh, let's use one of the columns for that. But the problem is you can still see the arch in the picture. And then I found a column style sculpture that Gary Ledbetter taught in 2008, I think it was, or 2009. Problem there is that it was on two base plates, and this rule is going to be one base plate. Murphy would just stop. And the rule is it's got to be on one base plate. So we couldn't use that picture either. So yeah, it's just one of those things. Man, I really am frozen, aren't I? Okay, well, we'll just find out what's going to happen soon. Which is interesting because it means you also can't see Murphy drive me crap crazy over here. So we're excited about that, and we're looking forward to having this competition go down and to see what you guys come up with. This was actually, to be completely transparent, this was actually something we borrowed from the World Balloon Convention. When Qualitex went by the wayside, this was one of their competitions, and we never offered it before because we didn't want to copy. But now that they're no longer in the picture, we figured, okay, let's give it a try. This is the competition that is replacing the foil design competition. The organic decor competition, always a popular entry. This one here is, of course, Alyssa Lane who did this one. This is going to be taking place on Sunday morning, early Sunday morning, 8 o'clock to 12 p.m., presented in part by our friends at Batalic. Excited to have that. So once again, yes, it does mean you have to use all Batalic balloons in the design. So there's that. Now, oops, sorry, I should have paused right there. Now, you'll notice that we are not jumping to the centerpiece competition yet. That is because as of today, we do not have a sponsor for the centerpiece competition, which is interesting if you think about it, because with the Designer Awards Gala, what's the only decor element that we're missing? Table centerpiece. What's the only competition that's not been picked up yet in the competition series? Table centerpiece. What competition never got sponsored last year? The Deadline table centerpiece competition. So it's I'm almost starting to wonder if we need to consider shifting away, but we'll see. But again, now keep in mind the table centerpiece competition will take place regardless. Okay, it is going to happen regardless of whether or not we have a sponsor. because that is part of the Designer of the Year Championship Series. So that has to be done. Hello, Peggy Williams. Good to see you. Thank you so much for being out here. Good to see you. Okay, now, as far as our deadline competitions go, I'm thrilled to share with you that our delivery piece competition has once again been sponsored by our friends at High Float. So thank you very much to High Float for picking up the delivery piece competition, which of course will mean that High Float will have to be incorporated in your design. As of right now, this is the only deadline competition that has currently been sponsored. And I do need to make this pretty abundantly clear. There are 3 other deadline competitions that are currently being promoted based on what we had last year. We had the hanging decor competition, we had the mosaic design competition, and we had the table centerpiece deadline competition. While the hanging decor and the mosaic concepts were sponsored last year, the table deadline live was never sponsored. If we do not have sponsorship of these competitions by, say, December 15th or so, somewhere in the middle of December, we will not be hosting them. The bottom line is that we've reached a point where the event where we cannot host events that cost money without some kind of recovery. And you got to keep in mind when you're giving away cash prizes to the winners, right? That money has to come from somewhere. And then if you end up with you can't have a bunch of competitions just because you want to have a bunch of competitions and then end up losing money on it because you're paying out for prizes and you're paying out for plaques and you're paying out for all the other stuff. So if we don't get these competitions sponsored, we simply will not host them this year. Also, I do want to point out that we also have the create your own competition category this year. So sponsors do have the ability to make their own competition as a deadline competition. It wouldn't be part of the Designer of the Year, but it would be part of the deadline competitions. And so those will be scheduled based upon time and availability and everything else. So there's that. But thank you once again to our friends at High Float for sponsoring the event. Now, when it comes to the convention decor, we had technically 13 decor possibilities. Now, these, by what I'm talking about here, these are not parts of the social events. These are decor elements that are going to be available all the time. Stuff that from start to finish. This will be up during the course of the convention. The convention entrance hallway. We have a 215-foot long hallway that leads directly into the atrium. So that was up for grabs this year. The grand ballroom entrance and the crystal ballroom entrance. These are 2 that are in the atrium that open up into main cavity spaces where there's lots of stuff taking place inside. The competition room entrance is open. The vendor showcase entrance, which is 28 feet wide and double-sided. Then you've got 5 different photo stations and, of course, the Wall of Awesome. As of right now, let's update you. For those of you at home, Tiffany, there you go. The convention entrance hallway, the vendor showcase entrance, and all 5 of the photo op stations are sponsored and gone. So of these elements, all that remains are the grand ballroom entrance, the crystal ballroom entrance, the competition room entrance, and the Wall of Awesome. Now, again, just like what we just talked about a few minutes ago, with the exception of the Wall of Awesome, if we don't pick up sponsorships on these, then there simply won't be. At the end of the day, we gotta do something. The Wall of Awesome, for years now, I've been saying we're going to do it. And last year we got the wall up, and then it never had transpired. It never transformed into itself. This year, come hell or high water, the Wall of Awesome is happening. For those of you that don't know what the Wall of Awesome is, this is a concept that we came up with a very long time ago, and I've been trying to put it into play forever. What it is it's positive affirmation. When you're at Float, if there is something that happened that you really liked, it can be anything. It can be, oh my God, blah, blah, blah's dress was amazing. Or it could be, wow, Melissa Fox's class changed my life. Or it could be, I met the coolest person today. Her name is blah. It could be anything along these lines. If you really want to brag about that person, you go to the registration desk and you get yourself one of these affirmation cards and you fill it out. And then multiple times a day, we're going to go to the Wall of Awesome and attach them to the wall. And by the end of the event, the intention is for that wall to be covered in all of everyone's wonderful experiences and how they had a great time at Float and what they got to experience. So that's going to happen regardless. But again, the grand ballroom entrance, the crystal ballroom entrance, the competition room entrance, these are all based upon availability. If nobody sponsors them, then we're not going to do them. But again, it's 6 months to go. And there's a lot of people that are sponsoring Float and coming to Float as vendors who haven't even haven't even clicked on anything yet. So there's going to be more stuff gone. I have no idea. I have no doubt in my mind. With that being said, let's give some shout outs to the folks who did pick up some decor. That big, long convention hallway I told you about, that's thanks to our friends at Metallic for picking that up. The vendor showcase entrance, the 28-foot wide double-sided entrance for that, picked up by our friends at Calisan. Thank you very much to Calisan for doing that. 5 photo op stations picked up by our friends at Metallic, Gemar, Calisan, and Toy World. Now, I know what you're thinking. Steve, I can do first grade math. You said 5 photo op stations. There's only 4 brands there. That's right, because our friends at Toy World sponsored 2 of them. So they're going to be doing 2 of the photo ops. Basically, these are just 8 by 8 foot sections that are going to be out in different public areas of the convention, and people are going to be able to take pictures and pose with them, and they get to brand them up. So that's what that's for. So thank you very much to Sempertex, Gemar, Calisan, Toy World for picking up these sponsorships. We really appreciate it. Now, not to be outdone, there are other sponsorships that have been picked up as well. We want to give a shout out to those individuals at this time. Going back once again to our friends at Toy World, we want to give a big shout out to them because, again, it never fails. The first thing to get bought every time, the first sponsorship out the door every time are the lanyards. And Toy World was like, boom, like literally seconds after that, the links went out, the lanyards were gone. Our friends at Toy World picked them up, and I'm happy to share with you, they also picked up a promotional registration, which means at some point in the very near future, Toy World and Float will be coordinating a free registration giveaway. So thank you very much for that. Our friends at PS Helium, they went big time this time. Not only did they pick up one of the t-shirt sponsorships, but they also picked up one of the hotel room key card sponsorships. So for the first time ever at Float, when you check in, there's a good possibility that you're going to get a key card with one of our sponsors on it because they're being custom printed for the event. And our friends at PS Helium said, hey, that sounds really fun. Let's do that. So they picked up 500 key cards at the hotel. So we're very excited about that. Thank you very much. There's still, by the way, there are still 4 of those key card sponsorships available. The buyout is gone by PS Helium picking up 1 round of 500. That did essentially block out the total. It blocked out the whole use of the buyout. So, and that's fine because again, it doesn't, it's first come, first serve. So the buyout option is no longer available. Balloonia missed out on the opportunity to sponsor general classes at Float, and they really made their presence known here because not only did they pick up Adrian Winfrey, they also purchased a bonus class, which means they're going to be sponsoring an instructor in our bonus classes. They also picked up one of the sponsored sessions. Those are the 60-minute sessions where the sponsor basically gets to do anything they want. So I have a feeling there's going to be another class featured there. And they picked up one of our featured jam room talent. So we're very excited to find out who that's going to be coming your way soon. Give a big shout out to our friends here in the Seattle area at MSR Balloons. They became one of our t-shirt sponsors. With PS Helium and MSR, that now means there are only 2 remaining t-shirt sponsorships. Remember, we only put 4 brands. Well, not that I held up 3 fingers. There are 4 brands that are on the back of the shirts. The reason why we only put 4 on the back of the shirts is because we do not want it so stupidly crowded so that you can't see the damn logo. So there are 4 sponsors going on the back of the shirts, and 2 of them are PS Helium and MSR. Thank you both for sponsoring the shirts. Our friends at All American, I told you before, we weren't done with them yet. All American, not only did they sponsor one of the tables in the jam room, but they also picked up another jam room featured talent, which means they're going to be bringing a rock star to the jam room. And they are sponsoring one of the jam room contests. So there are 9 different contests that are going to be taking place during the jam room. We're not doing a contest on Sunday night because opening night really conflicts hard with the jam room. So there's Saturday night, Monday night, and Tuesday night, and we're doing one every hour, starting at 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, and 9 o'clock each night. And so our friends at All American picked up one of those jam room contests. So thank you very much for that. One of our newer sponsors from Balloonery.com, they actually were part of the last float. They came as attendees. They were also at Fulcrum. They were part of the fun at Fulcrum, but now they have picked up a sponsored session at Float. So they're going to present to you all the fun stuff they have to offer in one of our sponsored sessions. Our good friend Nicole from Let Nicole Help. Nicole, it turns out, is not going to be able to join us this year at the event. So she picked up what is known as a digital sponsorship. She is going to be credited as one of our sponsors, but all of her marketing and all of her promotion stuff will be done remotely. Like it'll be done through the Facebook group. It'll be done like in the convention guide and other things like that. She'll be allowed to put things in the tote bag, that kind of thing, but she cannot physically be at the convention with a digital sponsorship. So Nicole, thank you very much for picking that up. We greatly appreciate it. And our first sponsored Floaty Award is officially in the history books. Joette from ballooncoach.com picked up the Arch Design Floaty Award. So courtesy of Joette, whoever wins that award will get a nice little award with the ballooncoach.com logo etched on it from there. So there we go. So thank you, Joette. Remember, there are still 32 established categories available. And of course, if you are interested in sponsoring your own Floaty Award, you may do so. That can be done by do the create your own floaty. That's also a possibility. You just got to remember, it cannot conflict with any other existing award being given out. Now, to be fair, there are other sponsors in this mix that have made other support. But if we talk about it like a restaurant, these are what I call your front of the house sponsors. Okay. These are the sponsors whose stuff you're doing is in your face. There's also a series of sponsorships that I'm referring to as kind of back of the house, which aren't nearly as glamorous. These include things like sponsoring, putting slides in the slideshows, upgrading your ad in the convention guide, that kind of thing. So those don't necessarily get convention promotion because again, they're just kind of behind the scenes, but they will be listed as sponsors on the website. So you'll get to see all that information soon as far as who's coming and all that fun stuff. Now, I mentioned this earlier, and I do want to talk about it. So last week when we were talking about the Monday soiree, we were talking about that the party was scheduled to take place at Club Lex nightclub in the Grand Sierra Hotel. However, there was a conversation or a debate as to whether or not that was going to happen. Well, I can tell you right now, we have an answer. And the answer is, it is now not going to happen. The Club Lex nightclub is slated for demolition sometime in October, which means it will not be available for us to use during the convention because they're not converting it into something. They're actually turning it into a walkway. So it's not going to be there at all. So now we are kind of back to square one as far as where it's going to be. Now I have a couple of we have as of right now there are two locations. As of right now, there are two locations that we are looking at. Um, Not sure about either one, to be completely honest with you. I'm very, I can't lie, I'm really disappointed about this because the nightclub was going to work, and the nightclub solved so many problems, and the way that it was laid out, it was really great. You had you had a bar over here, you had a whole entranceway and everything else, so there was no cluster wedding. There was lots of seating, booths and everything all through the nightclub that people could go sit and camp out in. There was an established dance floor. There was fun ambiance. There was all kinds of stuff. And now we don't have it. So I'm disappointed. I'm actually going to Reno in a week or so to myself and Carl are heading there for another. Carl's never been, so Carl and I are going to go because Carl, as you may or may not know, is my right hand man when it comes to float. Every major decision I run by him for his opinion because he's one of the most grounded and one of the most level headed people I know. And he's not as emotionally connected, obviously, as I am to all this stuff. And so we're going to go take a look at everything, and we're going to evaluate the new potential location for the party. However, I've been rambling on enough about that. Let's talk about where it affects sponsors. Now, as of right now, the room decor concept is set up. Remember, this was set up as if this was going to be for the nightclub. And so the room decor sponsorship was the entire space because we weren't sure if there was going to be a stage. We weren't sure what was going to happen, blah, blah, blah. Well, now we know. Now we know there's going to have to be some kind of stage because the DJ is not going to be in the DJ booth in the nightclub, which means, technically speaking, we should be sponsoring. Technically speaking, we should be sponsoring stage decor and accent decor. So if you're one of our sponsors and you're paying attention right now, heed my words. I'm going to leave the sponsorship the way it is for a week. So if you want to grab the stage and the room decor for one price, do it now. Because by this time next week, by the time Step Chat airs next week, I promise you that won't be the case anymore. So if somebody grabs it before then, I will gladly honor it, and that's good to go. But if nobody picks it up between now and next weekend, next Sunday, there's going to be a separate stage decor sponsorship and a separate accent decor sponsorship. So keep that in mind. Okay. I also want to remind everybody that with by the way, hi, Elaine. Good to see you. Thank you very much for being here. I do want to take this opportunity to remind everybody that the sponsorship packet that was sent out last week has been modified. Couple things have been done. First of all, the stuff that is sold out has now been marked as sold out in the packet. So people aren't like going to the website to find out that they're sold out. They see it in the packet and they know, oh, that's gone. In addition to that, we have now placed hot links in the packet so that if there is something that you want to purchase, you can just click on the price of the item and it'll take you right to the appropriate registration page. Remember, with our existing system, we ended up with 4 different registration forms, which can be very confusing. I get it, and I apologize sincerely. Moving forward after this event, after Float 2026, it is my intention that all of that registration stuff is going to be done through the app. Okay. But we're already where we are. It is what it is. So now the great thing is that if there's like one thing you want to buy, you just click on that link and it'll take you right to the page. You grab it and you sponsor it. And then that's it. Hello, Stacy Chase. Good to see you. When we initially launched this packet, it was done with a coordinating email, which had the links in there to this is what you do, this is what you do, this is what you do. And that's great. But the problem is that's not going to work moving forward. So that's why we put the direct links in the packet itself so that you could just click on them and go from there. So if you downloaded the packet last week, it does not have those links in it. The new packet, which is updated for today's date, July 27th, has the live links in the sponsorships. Now, I do want to take just a moment to talk about the vendor showcase. For those of you that we've had quite a few people reach out and they've been like, hey, I'm thinking about this booth. I'm thinking about that booth. Is this a good booth? Is this where I should go? Well, again, I got to remind everybody, this is the first time we've ever had the vendor showcase in this room. So asking me, is this a good booth or not? I can't tell you. I can guess. And I think most people would agree that if you look at the floor plan, most of the booths are gone in a concentrated right-hand corner because that's right where the entrance is. But I can't tell you what a good booth and a bad booth is because we just don't know. But the truth of the matter is the room itself is not so incredibly massive that people aren't going to get to you anyway. So there's that. But the point I'm bringing this up is because I do want to remind everybody that we are starting to get new interest. Okay. In the last week, we've been approached by at least 4 different companies that have never been part of Float that are like, hey, can you send me some information about being a vendor? Many people have reached out and been like, oh, can you hold that booth for me? Can you this, can you that? Guys, I don't mind doing that when we're not. The last month or so, we had almost no activity going down, right? Because we were kind of in a holding pattern. We had very slow episodes of Step Chat because we just didn't have much to talk about. We are not there anymore. We are now within 6 months of the convention. We are going to start seeing more and more interest. Booths are going to go on a first come, first purchased basis. So if you want a booth at Float and you're like, I'm thinking about this one, I'm thinking about that one, you better get it. Okay. If you want to handpick it, you better get it because I'm telling you right now, we're at a point now where I don't know that we're going to be able to do this anymore. Okay. The closer and closer we get to Float, the more and more things are going to get scooped up. So you got to make sure that you take a moment to take advantage of that and get that done. Okay. Murphy, get out of my coffee. Jesus Christ, dog. Okay. Now I do want to take just a moment too to share. Oh, one other thing I do want to share very quickly. The Vendor Showcase app has been updated as well. And I'm sorry, not the Vendor Showcase app. The Vendor Showcase packet has also been updated to include the same hot links. So when you get the Vendor Showcase packet now, if you click on any booth, it'll take you right to the registration page. Okay. So there's that. Hello, Brianna. Good to see you. Yes, I know. 6 months to go. It's crazy. All right, everybody. Once again, I do want to give a moment, another shout out to our newest sponsors coming to the Vendor Showcase. Let's give it up to Shikali Balloons out of Texas. Shikali, brand new first-time person heading to Float. We're very excited to see them. They are a distributor of latex balloons and supplies for decorators. So we're very excited to have them joining us. And as always, our friends at Rainbow Balloons finally picked up their booth for Float. So we're excited to have, actually, they picked up a double booth, to be honest. So we're excited to have Rainbow Balloons back in the showcase as well. Very, very excited to have them joining us. Now, really quickly, you're seeing this picture of the Float homepage for a reason. As of right now, many of you, I've been getting messages from people all week long. Hey, I bought this sponsorship and we're not on the website. Yep, that's right. Hey, I got a booth and we're not on the website. Yep, that's right. Hey, where's the rest of the classes that you said you're going to get to? Not there yet. It is my intention. The nice thing is this week is fairly slow here at the Floatress of Solitude. So it is my intention this week to catch up on everything at one time. What I need to do is I have to break everything down by sections and get it to the web guys. and knowing, and I will admit that I dragged my feet a little bit because I knew there'd be a lot of changes coming up. So I kind of wanted to do them all at once. So the Float website right now, if you're one of our sponsors or one of our vendors and you're like, hey, why am I not there yet? I promise you, you will be very, very soon. So there's that. All right, let's get to Aloft. This is our 24-hour streaming service that we offer through Float. Aloft features 150 classes, videos, podcast episodes, and more, presented by some of the industry's finest talent. Really, really, really good stuff there. Yeah, very, very excited. Very good stuff there. And of course, as a member, which you can join for as little as $10 a month, paid either in 6-month increments or annually, you can get access to all of these videos 24/7. And it's a great system. And by the way, I'm not making any promises yet, but we are looking into whether or not the new Float app will support this as well. So for those of you that are members of Aloft, you may be able to just log into the Float app and do that. The plan is, by the way, well, we'll get to that later. I'll talk to that in a bit. Let's move on because I'm talking too much. Again, I want to remind everybody that Dawn Gertman's class that was supposed to be this Tuesday has been backed up for 1 week. So the new date of Dawn's class, Inflation Plus Floral Equals Fabulous, is August 5th. Not this coming Tuesday, next Tuesday. Same time, 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific, and whatever the hell time it is where you are. But the date is changed by a week. So thank you to Dawn. Appreciate you, as always. Dina, thank you for posting that link in the chat here on Facebook. For those of you that are members of Aloft, do absolutely nothing. You will be sent the invite and the login information on Monday, August 4th. If you are not a member of Aloft, you can join Aloft, or you can sign up at floatconvention.com/orange store. That's orange like the color, store like the retail, and you can sign up for just $25. That includes not only access to the live class, but it also includes a digital download recording of the class when it's over. So that's all for you, people. And that's coming up. And then 2 weeks after that, our actual August class, because remember, this was supposed to be our July class. This was supposed to be our July class. I'm really kind of glad right now that you guys can't see me because Murphy's driving me nuts. So we want to welcome Jesse Marclaro with Getting Returns on Your Reels. This is going to be coming up on August 19th, also at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, 3 p.m. Pacific Time, and whatever the hell time it is where you are. Jesse's going to be teaching you on how to get better returns on your video content on your social media platforms. Very excited about that. Now, to be fair, this class is not yet uploaded onto the Orange Store. So you'll need to hold off. I promise you that by next Sunday, it will be there. So there's that. So thank you very much, both to Dawn and to Jesse, for presenting these classes for us through Aloft. Okay. And with that being said, it is now time to get to what I like to refer to as the street level content here in the Floativerse. Let's talk about the day-to-day stuff that everybody deals with. So with that being said, let's get to our step chat survey. This topic came to me some time ago. In fact, I think it's a question. It might be a recycled question from the Float forum. I think I may have asked this once before in there, and I'm not sure. But the question today was, when you decide, or when you make your purchases of balloons and supplies, what is your primary reason for choosing the company you choose? And the answers were, is it location / shipping times? Is it price? Is it selection? Is it a personal relationship you have with the sponsor or the distributor? Or is it something else that we don't know about? As of this afternoon, the vast majority of you, 56% of the survey respondents, selected location / proximity to shipping times. Many of you talked about the fact, or some of you talked about the fact that this means that, like, for example, you can ship stuff ground and get it next day, right? So it's like overnight delivery, but at ground shipping rates. But But so most of you tend to go with whoever's closest so you can get the product the fastest for the cheapest price. See, now that doesn't count. Amanda, that does not count. All of the above does not count because it's the primary reason. Obviously, all of these factors come into play. Obviously, all of them come into play. And it's a juggling act. I get it. You're not going to, I can tell you right now, there was one wholesaler in particular that has never been involved in float, and I can't stand them. And they were always my last option. Like I went to everybody else first before I would reach out to them for something because I did not care for them at all. So there's that. Now it's interesting though, because in the 8%, there's something else not included here. I really think both of these people said having all my stuff in stock. And see, to me, that kind of, I do get it that is different, but to me, that still wraps up into range of product selection. But okay, but I respect it and I get it. For example, I guess if you're looking to buy, I mean, because my problem is you don't find that anymore. It just doesn't happen anymore. Two of the distributors that I personally buy from the business often carry conflicting brands. So like one of them doesn't carry this brand at all anymore, and this one doesn't carry this brand, and blah, blah, blah. And so I have to make choices about who am I going with here and here. And I can't make a combined purchase for that reason alone. Now, if you're loyal to one brand, then that pretty much can work for you. If you're brand loyal per se, then you can just go with one company. But the other side of the coin is nowadays, the distributors are very much at the will of the manufacturers. And they've been having a hard time. Some of them are having a really hard time keeping up with inventory. Sempertex, for example, or not Sempertex, but Metallic, they moved into a brand new location. And so for a while there, if somebody ran out of something, they were out for a while because they were in the middle of moving. And so they didn't have it. It's really difficult when you're both a twister and do balloon decor. I imagine that's probably true. I imagine that's very true. You probably have to buy from multiple people, and you've got companies who specialize in twisters. You have companies who specialize in twisters versus decorating stuff and all that kind of thing. So yeah, that could be a thing. But I'd like to take this time to thank everybody for participating in the survey. So thank you very much for that. I do want to remind everybody that to those of you that are registered for Float 2026, for those of you that are academic registrations and foundational registrations, the training classes. Those of you, the Float Notes episode 3 or issue number 3 was sent out on Wednesday, July 23rd. So if you've not yet received it, start looking for it. Check your spam, check your junk. And it's amazing to me the number of people that swear up and down, Steven, I've searched my junk mail 3 times, it's not there. And then where do they find it? Keep in mind with Google, a lot of times we get stuck in what's called the promotions folder. So you're like, it's not in my junk. It's not in my junk. It's not in my junk. Right. Check your promotions folder. Some companies call it a bulk folder. Some call it junk. Some call it spam. And whatever you do, when you find it in there, please mark it as not. So if it's in the promotions folder, I'm sure you can right click on something and it'll say, send this to your inbox. Please do that. Okay. I will say people are getting a lot better about it. However, it is important to note that if you're on the payment plan, you didn't get an issue of Float Notes number 3. This is on purpose. This is why I said earlier that you need to read your terms of service or review the terms of service. Until your registration is paid off in the payment plan, you are not eligible. You are not considered actually registered. We had people that reached out and said, I signed up for the payment plan, or I'm registered for Float with the payment plan. No, you're not. You're not registered yet. You've not filled out a form with all your personal information in it and signed the waiver and the whole 9 yards. That comes after your payments are completed. Okay? So you're not getting the link to the discounted room for the hotel. You're not getting that. You're not getting other benefits of the convention because you're not fully paid yet. Once it's fully paid, you can do that. And if you're one of those people in the payment plan, you're like, well, you know what? I'd rather just get this done. Can I make you a blank payment? I'm sure we can work. I'm sure we can figure that out. But for now, that's how this works. Speaking of float benefits, I rarely ever talk about this out here. And it occurred to me that I really should bring it up in the email that was sent to you on July 23rd. If you are registered to attend Float 2026 as an academic attendee, whether you are a full academic attendee or one of the foundational attendees, you are eligible to be a member of the Float Forum. This is a private Facebook group that we have. It is dedicated exclusively just for people coming to the convention. So it's very small. There's only a couple hundred people in it. But it's great because you get concentrated answers. There is nothing that drives me more bat-you-know-what crazy than when I go into a group and post a question and I get 13 responses from people. Well, that's never happened to me, but if it did, I'd do this. Dude, you don't know what the hell you do because it hasn't happened to you. So please shut up. That's the great thing about the forum. If it's happened to people, they'll tell you. If it hasn't happened to them, they don't answer. Right? I mean, that's the great thing about it. So if you're one of those people that's looking to get 1,000 people interacting with you, if you're praying for 1,000 likes or something, you're not going to get it. But if you want solid answers from people that know what the hell they're doing, then why are you not a member of the forum? Remember, you must be registered for Float to join the forum. And if you try to join and you're not registered, we will just politely decline you and tell you with a message, hey, sorry, you're not actually eligible. But all you got to do is get registered and then you can join. But we look for it. And again, the direct link for this group was sent to you in the July 23rd email. Okay. Now, this next topic of conversation, we've been getting some questions about the hotel. I have 2 questions this week that I've been getting from people. Technically 3, but I didn't include this one as an actual frame, but we can do it here shortly. The first question I've been getting a lot of lately is this. Somehow this is being bizarre. Am I allowed to have a roommate at Float in Reno? I heard somewhere that you're not allowing people to have roommates this year, blah, blah, blah. No, once again, this is people not reading. Yes, you are allowed to have roommates at Float. The restriction involves those who are participating in the foundational program. This is the beginner level program. And the stipulation is they must be the primary room holder on the reservation. Now, what does this mean? It does not mean you have to have your own room. It means your credit card has to be the one paying for the room. You can have roommate. You can have roommates. But you cannot be someone else's roommate. That is the rule. Okay? For example, we have a mother and daughter combination that are taking the foundation program. And they're like, oh my God, we both have to get our own rooms. No, you both get family situation is totally different. I cannot go to sleep at night telling that a mother and daughter have to get separate rooms at the convention. No, that's silly. Yes, you two can room together. That's perfectly fine. What it can't do is you can't have somebody turn around and be like, I'm gonna stay at this Econo Lodge hotel over here and pay less money. So just do me a favor and put me down that I'm in your room. That's why you have to be the primary room holder. That's why it's got to be your credit card to prevent that kind of stuff from happening. And obviously we have roommates available because there is a link in the Float Facebook group pinned to the top of the page. People looking for a roommate, post here. So if you're a member of the Float Facebook group and you're looking for a roommate, please by all means look for this graphic and click there and then start the comments so you can talk to other people looking for roommates at Float. Just remember, if you are a member of the foundational program, the room must be in your name. You can add them as a secondary, but you must be the primary. Here is the other question that was initially driving me crazy until I realized what they were really saying. Steve, I can't find the discount code for the Grand Sierra Resort in the email. Where is it? And of course, you open the email, and the very first stinking section of the email is click here to book your room at the Grand Hotel at the Grand Sierra Resort and Hotel. And I just thought, you're not even looking, you're not even trying. But then it occurred to me what was happening, at least with some people. It occurred to me that what was happening was they thought that in addition to this link, there's a discount code they have to enter to get a cheaper rate on the room. The bottom line is that the discount is already built into the hotel link in the Float Notes emails. So when you click on the link and it takes you to book a room, it's already discounted. So that is the rate of the event. Okay. Now, the question that I didn't post or I didn't make a slide for, really didn't think about it. And it's not really a question, but it's more of an expansion on this. I mean, I've had a couple people reach out going, "Dear God, you said we got a discount on these rooms and they're like 200 something bucks a piece." Those are the suite upgrades. The 200 something dollar a night rooms are the suite upgrades. So if you want to have a luxury suite instead of a standard room at Float, those are the prices for the luxury suites. It's not the same. So that is not the discount. That the room rate is not 200 and something dollars a night for everybody. It's only if you want to get a suite. There are people that chose to upgrade and get suites. And this is one of the nice things I really like about the system. It allows you to do that. But that is not the hotel room rate. That is not the standard rate. That is built into the standard registration. So look for the standard rooms when you go to sign up. I do want to remind everybody once again that Float is on YouTube at youtube.com/@thefloativerse. We would greatly appreciate it if you're active on YouTube. We would really appreciate it if you would subscribe to the channel. Like this post when it gets done, or like our posts when they're done, excuse me. Share the content with people you know. It really helps drive, the whole, it drives our presence on the channel. So we would greatly appreciate that. Dan, I'm going to come back to that question a little bit later on. So there we go for that. Speaking of the step chat schedule for YouTube, obviously we're doing episode 274 right now here on Facebook. Tomorrow, the full episode of the recording will be uploaded to our YouTube channel. And then on Tuesday, the abbreviated summary version, which is be anywhere from 15 to 20 minutes, will be up. So for those of you that have just too busy lives that you can't sit here and join me, but you want the abridged version, that'll be uploaded on Tuesday. In addition to that, I should have made a point about this as well. The last two episodes of The Working Wonders, as well as Pia Guadalupe's La Familia Float episodes, will be uploaded to the YouTube channel this week as well. Want to give a big shout out to our good friend Lisa McIntyre, who will be hosting Kicking Back with Lisa Mac once again. This episode will be taking place this coming Tuesday, 5 p.m. Pacific time, 8 p.m. Eastern time. That's right. And whatever the hell time it is where you are. This is our virtual happy hour hosted by Lisa every week. The show takes place right here on the Facebook page, but the link is posted in the Float the Convention group. For privacy's sake, the first hour of the show is broadcast live on this page. You can either join the call live by clicking on the link, or you can, sorry, distraction from an email, or you can simply leave comments and comment live, and Lisa will react to those comments every once in a while. The second half of the show is done what's called after party mode. They click off of Facebook. That's when actually a lot of people get on the call because they just don't necessarily want their stuff broadcast live. Um, and so the party goes on until everybody decides they're done talking. So that's this coming Tuesday. If you want an opportunity to meet some new people and get to know some of the friendly faces afloat, that's a great way to do it. And may I note that our next episode of Kick It Back with Lisa Mack International Style will be taking place on Tuesday, August 5th. That'll be taking place before Dawn's class. Okay. This will be taking place at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, 10 a.m. Pacific Time. And yes, whatever the hell time it is where you are. This is where Lisa adjusts the timing of the show, because the problem is her regular show takes place oftentimes in the middle of the night in some of these other countries in Europe and what have you. And so Lisa does the show much earlier in the day so that her friends from overseas can get on the call and participate as well. I think it's a wonderful idea. I'm so glad she started doing it. And that episode, that special episode, will be aired on Tuesday, August 5th. So not this coming Tuesday, but next Tuesday. And with that being said, that will do it for tonight's episode of Step Chat. All right, let's see if I unfreeze. Wow. Not only am I not unfrozen, but I really look depressed. Well, no, I don't look depressed. I look like, why? Why did you do this? Why? So let's go back to our screen share because there's just so much I can do. Wow. It's like, really, dude? Really? Isn't that what it looks like? That's what I thought. Oh, actually, you know what? I don't know if I can do that or not. Let's see. Well, let's go back and do it anyway. And then let's see if I can actually. Yeah, the only problem is I can't address questions directly because of this. So that's all right. So we'll just leave the graphic up and we'll just crop everything and take care of it that way. So Dan had a question. Let me go back here and do it. Is there a general ballpark of when you'll be talking about competition signups rules and all that stuff? Yes. The competition elements are still being discussed and evaluated. Our competition director and his assistant have not yet, at this point, we have not reviewed all the rules yet. So until that actually happens, we're not prepared to go public with a lot of that stuff. A lot of the themes and competitions the themes of the competitions have not yet been determined. So there's a lot of other things to discuss and debate. So when that is finalized, then we'll be doing that. More than likely, the competitions will open in October. What we'll do is we'll do a live, and then we'll go over it that way. So yeah, good question. There's another slide that I forgot to put in tonight. Actually, I just realized that after all this, and it was one of the slides I said to myself earlier today. Don't forget. I'm getting a lot of people asking about the flotation pass. When are we going to get when can we buy our flotation pass? When are we going to talk about flotation passes? There is still a tremendous amount of content and things that have to be addressed before we can get to that. But I will tell you right now that the date has been set of September 12th. That is when flotation passes will officially go up for sale. September 12th. Sherry asked a question earlier. Have the headshots been sponsored yet? The answer is no. They have not yet been sponsored. But keep in mind, I have secured at least one day of headshots at Float. So what does that mean? It's going to mean a couple of things. Of course, a lot of this is still very much up in the air, right? Because it's going to depend an awful lot on what happens. I made a commitment to Mike, the photographer, that I said, look, I'm going to definitely have you come for at least one day. So I've committed to his flight, his hotel, and his sponsorship there at the event. for at least one day, and we're waiting to see what happens. If that's all that ends up happening, the way it's going to work is that the flotation pass holders will receive a complimentary headshot with Mike at the convention, and you will receive priority booking. Then the way it'll work is that if you are an Aloft member, and you want to get a booking, you'll be next. And it'll be half of the final fee. I have yet to decide what the fee will be. I know two things. I know that Mike says that he normally charges $300 to $400 for a headshot. I can assure you it will be far lower than that. We're not going to charge people. You're also not getting the same personal attention, right? So we can't justify $300 to $400 person. It'll be considerably less than that. But whatever the final price is, Aloft members will be half price. And they can book remaining spots open. If there are any spots after that, then it will be opened up to the general population coming to float, and they'll be paying full price for the headshots if they want to get a headshot done. So there's that. Liliana, good to see you. Thank you very much for being here. So there you go. Becky, float yearbook. Are you referring to the convention guide? Because I don't know what that specifically means. I'm assuming you're talking about the book, but I don't necessarily know. So, yeah, so I'll let you respond here on that. So there's that. But Sherry, that was a good question. So thank you for asking that. Yeah, it's definitely been a thing. For those of you that are like, God, come on, flotation. I get it. I know the flotation pass is very popular. The reason why we haven't finalized it yet is because it's still changing. It's still evolving. We're working on new ways to incentivize it. The problem is that it's going to be insanely. I wouldn't say insanely, but it's going to be a lot pricier than it's normally been. But you also have to remember, it includes 3 lunches and 3 bonus classes that nobody else is getting at all. It includes all the notes. We've added another day of master classes. It's going to include all those. With the bonus class sponsorship situation, we could have more bonus classes than ever before. And if it includes the headshots, it can't be the same price as it was before. So it's going to go up. Becky, no, if we're getting photos, there could be a yearbook printed. No. Keep in mind, school yearbooks involve everybody. So if we're comparing that, we're not taking pictures of everyone, and therefore we can't guarantee everybody's pictures in there. And keep in mind, that's way more work than we can put into this thing. It's a clever idea. It's a cute idea, but no, we cannot possibly. I cannot justify spending, and who's paying for that? That's weeks more work after the convention. I can't. I mean, it's a cute idea, but I can't see that happening. So let's see here. Paul, here's a good question. Has there been any conversation on real-time photo sharing and networking tech often used at big conferences? That's a great question. Yeah, we have talked about it. In fact, I know that one of my crew members is working on something like that, because one of the things that we're looking to do is we have a couple of slideshow monitors that are taking place in the jam room and the flop zone. during the convention. And the idea was to see if people can hashtag stuff in or whatever and do that. And then it can be, added into the slideshow. Um, not without being reviewed, of course, because there's always an element at Float that will take a very inappropriate photo and it'll get uploaded automatically. The other thing to keep in mind about a lot of these, services is that they are very expensive. A lot of the big conferences like that use a lot of this tech, it's not cheap. It's 5 figures worth of cost. I know this for a fact because we've researched it before. Um, just there was one. I mean, now I'm sure the price is coming down on them, but like I said, and I know that one of my crew members is working on something like this. Plus, this is something we have, like I said before, we have purchased an app that we're going to be putting into play. And that is going to be it's very possible that is also something that can be used and can be done through the app. These are all things that Aphrodite is going to start learning very soon because I've put her in charge of app tech. So there's that. The other thing that I was talking about earlier that I kind of sidetracked myself on and didn't finish was the idea that it is our intention to keep the app going all the time. The Float app is not just necessarily something you're going to use while you're at Float. For those of you that are going to other Float events, as we've talked about, it'll be programmed for Fulcrum. It'll be programmed for. Oh, you almost caught me, didn't you? The other new event we're working on. Obviously, with future floats, we're looking at the possibility of running the Aloft memberships through there as well, so that the people can access their Aloft content through the app as well. So we're looking into all of this to see if this is a capability that we can do. Perhaps Whova could be an option. Okay, good to know. Thank you. We will look into that. Like I said, I do know that one of my crew members has been looking into it. So we will find out what she's researched and what she's come up with, and we'll take it from there. Thank you very much for that question. Great question. Yeah. And keep in mind, folks, we are always open to feedback. We are always open to new ideas and new suggestions. Just because I say no to something, that doesn't mean we're not going to ever do it. It doesn't mean we're going to whatever. For example, I feel kind of badly about response to Becky only because I'm thinking of right now, I'm just thinking of, oh dear God, how it's enough. The amount of work I put in on the convention guide alone is a nightmare. I can't imagine. And the notebook and the flotation notebook and all the work that we put into this stuff, it's so much work. And then imagining, oh dear God, now I have to do another publication after the event is over. And keep in mind, yearbooks are, I mean, this thing would be, it just can't. It's just not realistic. But I like the fact that you're coming up with suggestions. I like the ideas. And I'm always open to an idea. But I'm going to tell you right now, if I'm not going to use the idea, it isn't simply going to be because I don't like it. The one thing that I learned a long time ago is that obviously there are things that I like, there's things that I appreciate, but my voice alone cannot run this event. It can't. It can't. I've joked about this before. The reason why we have the advisory board, for example, for classes is because if it were up to me, we'd have 27 teachers teaching sculpture work because that's what I do, right? And that's what I love. I realize that what I do in my day-to-day business, what I like to do is not necessarily reflective of the rest of the world. Lord knows, in the last, thank God, A to the L to the EXA is here, because in the last couple of months, I've had to actually make 100 feet of organic garland for different jobs, and I can't stand it. So thank God she's here. But you see where I'm getting at is that obviously my voice alone cannot run this event because there's so many voices and so many different ways of looking at things. And to be honest with you, I want float to be as much as it can be for everybody. And I understand that it can't be everything for everybody. We know that. It doesn't matter how hard we work. Somebody's going to walk out of float pissed. I can't stop that. Some things they'll be pissed about that are in my control. Some things I can't. I will never forget as long as I live that night in Chicago in St. Louis, Float 2020. The last year it was in St. Louis. We announced that it was going to Chicago, and a delegate. I get off stage and I am being yelled at by a delegate in the middle of final night, like literally yelled at, like are you an idiot? I mean, literally calling me names in the middle of the gala. What kind of an idiot are you? We've gone from cold to even colder. You're so stupid, blah, blah, blah. I'm never coming to this thing again. And then proceeded to interject himself into the next 5 conversations I had with other people, right? I can't make everybody happy. That is an extreme situation, obviously. And then every year at the feedback meeting, there's always somebody who's really unhappy with something we did at Float. And then, of course, for everything that we hear about, there's probably another 1 or 2 that we don't hear about. And they don't tell us, they just keep it to themselves. But the truth is, we don't want that. We want to know what you like and what you don't like. The one thing that I can already tell you that I know that people don't like about Float is that it's getting bigger. Bigger comes with advantages. Bigger also comes with disadvantages. One of the reasons that people like Fulcrum so much is because it was so much more smaller and so much more intimate. And literally everyone could hang out with each other, which you can't do at Float. But this is one of the reasons why we at Float are working on ways to try to create smaller pockets of activity. This is one of the reasons why we're having multiple functions going on at one time. The idea, I mean, and I already know we're going to have people angry because you're going to have like the Monday night soiree and the jam room going on at the same time. And there might even be something else going on during those time frames. And people are like, dude, I can't do all that. You're right. You can't. So pick something. Be a grown-up. Pick something. The idea is to break it up into smaller groups so that people can have a more intimate experience with people they want to have at the event and still be part of a a 4-figure plus event, which we hope. So there we go. We had 930 attendees at the last convention. I found out 2 or 3 days before Float that the World Balloon Convention's biggest attendance was 950. So we came very close to topping that one. And the world's biggest balloon convention that anyone knows of was IBAC at 1150. So I, for one, it's not the goal, but it would be interesting to see what happens. Becky, I want to help out again with the bags, but I definitely won't go in uniform. That's funny. Becky, we are actually not going to have delegates be involved in the bags this time. We are going to have an outside group handle the tote bags. The reason for this is unfortunate. And even my parents, I had to have a conversation with them about this. I was informed, of course, well after the fact that there was nothing I can do about it, that and Becky, I want to be very, very clear. You are not one of the people that I'm referring to. But we had, because some of the people I know by name who did it, we'd have people come in that were there to help there were people that came in that were there to help stuff the tote bags, when in reality, what they were doing was stuff in their own pockets. They came in, they were going through everything that they liked, and then apparently the stuff they really liked, they were taking 5, 6, 10 of, and then leaving after 15, 20 minutes. Oh, I forgot, I got to go do this, and then they're gone. Oh, and then to make matters worse, I'll take my bag now. And then, of course, when they go to check in, I didn't get a bag. I hate to say this because but this is why we create rules. This is one of the reasons why we got to put people's faces on badges this year. Because one of the other conventions, one of the Twister conventions, absolutely caught people swapping badges at the door. Like people would go in the vendor room or whatever, then they'd leave, they'd hand their badge to somebody else. That person would put that badge on. Here I am. Go in. This is why we can't have nice things, people. This is why. It sucks. But people have proven they're dishonest. And Float has gotten to the point now where it's so big, there's no way in hell we know everybody walking in the door. So we can't do these things. Becky, are you going to tell me we can't play volleyball? Oh, hell no. We're playing volleyball. As long as Crystal Rutan brings her ball, we're playing. That is one of those moments that I'm okay with. We have event insurance. But of course, everybody, you sign a waiver when you register for Float. You're taking on responsibility for yourself. But no, we're going to do that. Debbie Levy, it makes me so sad to hear this. It makes me sad too, to be honest with you. It really does. But I learned I learned so long ago. How do I put this exactly? When I'm doing balloons, when I'm posting on social media or whatever, and I'm doing a job, I'm Steve the balloon guy. As far as other balloon people are concerned, I'm Steve the balloon guy. I'm one of you. He's one of us. Blah 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 blah. But the moment I ask somebody to give me money, I am no longer Steve the balloon guy. I am no longer Steve of Balloon Designers. I am now Steve the blankety blank who's trying to take my money. And at that point, there is a percentage of people in this industry who feel completely justified in trying to steal. They do. And let's call a spade a spade. Allowing somebody to use your badge to come in without paying is theft. Okay? Helping yourself they're free items, but they're not, you're taking stuff from other people. You've now prevented X amount of people from getting what they were supposed to get. The very first, long ago, when I started with Arideco Video, right? When I started the video line, 2 back-to-back situations that just broke my heart. Just broke my heart. One of the artists that we started working with right in the beginning was Marie Dado. She's also known in the twisting world sometimes as just Marie. And Marie was teaching at a class or something. And she said, "Can I have copies of my video so I can sell them there?" And I said, "Absolutely." And this is before we heat sealed the videos, before we shrink wrapped them. And literally, someone distracted her so that somebody else could go through and steal the discs out of the cases, then put the cases back. And then within a week, one of my Float team members called me and said, "Steve, I'm at a Clown Alley event right now, and you need to know what's being said." And I said, "Okay, what's being said?" People were telling everybody how they can get free videos from you. And I said, "Okay, how's that?" And remember, this is back when it was physical DVDs. He said, "This guy is so dumb. Just tell him you never got it. He'll send you another one for free." So you order one, you get that one, and then you sell it to somebody else, and then you get a free copy for yourself. I was being I was nice. I was being trusting. I thought these people wouldn't lie to me. They're balloon people. So yeah, it's a thing. Um, this is why we have to have policies. This is why we have to have everything else. And the other problem, in all sincerity, and this is not a pity party. I want to make this very clear. Because I chose this path, right? I did. I chose it, and I'm very proud to be on it. I had a conversation the other day with somebody who got kind of indignant with me about pricing and basically talked about how I'm just trying to get rich off everybody. And because this person is saying you had X amount of people times this much money, my God, look at all this money you made. Guys, I need you to understand something. So the budget for Float, I'm not going to share what the actual number is, but the budget for this convention is larger than what Balloon Designers does in a year. Okay. So let's start there. So I am on the financial hook to spend more money on this event than the gross amount of sales from Balloon Designers, my day-to-day business. As of right now, we've got 300 and something people signed up. All of our general classes are sponsored. Half the trade show is sponsored. And now other sponsorships are starting to get picked up. And as of today, we are still not even at 50% to budget. And I need to be clear that the budget does not include a salary for me. This is operating expenses for the convention. Now, anybody with half a brain should say, Stephen, it should have a budget in there for you. And that's true. But it doesn't. The way I'm seeing it, I get paid when all that's covered. This is one of the reasons why we are making some selective choices this year. If something doesn't get sponsored, we're not going to host it. Okay. There is a specific reason why things are being priced the way they are. And it's not because Steve wants to get rich. Okay. So let's keep that in mind. I know that, it's easy to look at it from one perspective, and I understand that. It always is. But we have rules that float for a reason. We have policies for a reason. I spent many, many years losing money on the convention. I don't ever want to be back in that position again. And I don't think anybody could blame me for that. So, well, guys, I will give it up. If anybody's got any questions, let's do 2 more minutes. I'll see if anybody's got anything they want to throw in there. Didn't mean to bring this so down heavy. I also just realized we are rapidly approaching. We are at 1 hour and 45 minutes of the show. So I feel badly about that. But don't worry, the summary episode will be much shorter. So if anybody's got any last minute questions, by all means, throw them in the chat and I'd be happy to address it for you. Otherwise, we will call it a day. I do apologize. I guess we're still having some kind of glitch issues with StreamYard. I don't know what's going wrong. This is the 3rd week in a row. And in fact, what was even more messed up is when I logged in initially, the float balloon was gone. All of my graphics were blue for some reason. It even showed orange in the thing, but it wouldn't let me change it. I had to physically go in and like retype stuff in order to get it back in. So there's that. Elaine, don't feel bad, Steve. Dishonesty happens in every group, even in church. Oh, I believe that. There we go. So there's all of that. Thank you all very much. Adriana, good to see you. Thank you very much for filling in the other night on on Working Wonders. You and I have to have a conversation. So there's that. So, okay, guys. Well, thank you all very much for being here. Really appreciate it. Let me go back to my lovely face here. And with that being said, we will see you all next Sunday here on The Step.